Welcome to Contemporary Black Voices, where we take on the most pressing issues affecting Black America. I am one of your hosts, Dr. Sharon Michael Chadwell. My co-hosts today are New York Times bestseller and international news enthusiast Caleb Alexander and community activist Chris Dawkins. Our main topic today is fires in California, an apocalyptic event. So on Tuesday, January the 7th, the Palisades fire started burning around 10:30 a.m. and has scorched thousands of acres around the beach towns of Santa Monica and Malibu. During this period, Eaton, Hearst, Lydia, and Kenna fires began. Strong winds and a lack of rain are driving the blazes, which are desperately being tackled to contain. With these powerful winds, they create conditions where humidity drops. So if a fire starts up, the winds can fan it into an inferno in minutes. So Southern California's fire season generally stretches from May to October. But State Governor Gavin Newsom has said there really is no fire season. It's fire year. So there are several questions to consider. One, how did the fire start? What has been the current government response and Trump's response? And what will the fire's lingering effects be on the Black community? We have a lot to talk about, but before we get started, please tap on the subscribe button to be able to get notices of upcoming shows. In addition, please hit the like button as well as share this and other shows with your family and friends. So you guys ready to get started with this? Okay, you look all suspect there, Caleb. So let's talk about this first question about how the fire started. I know you probably have heard rumors about how the fire started. What rumors have you heard?
One of the ones I saw on TV where Tim Allen and Niecy Nash and others were talking about that there was a homeless person that started one of the fires. And in addition to that, the Santa Ana winds then began to exacerbate the situation.
Mm-hmm. What about you? Any rumors?
No. I mean, and Chris probably has the latest news later than what I have on it, but just the what I had heard, the last statement was that they didn't suspect arson, but that news is probably days old. So I'm sure Chris has more recent information than I have.
Well, the thing that I also want to add to what I said is that there are many different fires that are burning,
right,
all at the same time.
Right.
All of them weren't started, even if the one person who's alleged to have started it, that does not negate what has happened naturally.
Right, right. And so I know it's been an exceptionally dry season.
Right.
And so, and winds carrying embers and stuff a wind can carry an ember miles, and pick it up and carry that thing. And so, and that thing lands in some dry leaves or any kind of dry area. I mean, it's been a recipe for, or even you can call it just a perfect storm.
Well, one of the things about this Santa Ana winds, someone said that lives in Santa Ana was saying that when that wind blows, it's like the devil is blowing out all this hot air. But in the case of these particular fires, not only was the devil blowing out hot air, he brought in his demons as well. So that was an image that's kind of like, that's powerful. But I was kind of trying to find out about the causes of wildfires in California. Now, I'll put a semicolon on this. Did you guys know that in January last year, there was a massive wildfire up in the Panhandle here in Texas?
Yes, I did.
I don't recall.
Yeah, I didn't hear about it until I started reading up on this. And what happened in that fire and I forgot how many acres it took out, but there was electrical lines left on the ground. And when these winds came in, that it kind of triggered that spark. And then it was wildfire, massive wildfire. But some of the causes of these wildfires include an increasing population, leading to more human activity and development in wildland areas. Wildland-urban interface where human development meets are meets or intermixes with wildland fuel, expanding the wildfire niche. So I had to look up what that meant. So because you have more people interacting with nature, there's more opportunities for humans to start fires. Okay, changing climate also amplifies conditions of wildfires, and as you said earlier, there are exceptional dry conditions and the strong winds. So this Santa Ana component is definitely something to. I'll start watching more and more because I was looking at another map that although we hear about the wildfires in California and now in Texas, there's a map of wildfires that have occurred all around the United States. So I don't know whether the United States itself is getting real dry, or is this a sign more and more of the climate change that is going on in the United States?
Or even globally.
Huh?
Even globally, just climate change globally, where you've had just drought, just tremendous dry conditions just everywhere, especially in Africa, in the Sahel. And that climate change that's happening globally has triggered severe drought, has triggered migration on a tragic scale. And this migration has also triggered further conflict. So you have that. And so climate change is definitely an issue globally. And so we're definitely feeling it here in the U.S. through California.
You know, Lawrence O'Donnell gave a beautiful, I don't know, testimony, but editorial on MSNBC the other night.
Because I think he's got family there.
In fact, his house was questioned. He didn't know at the time of his showing whether his house was gone or not. But he was saying that yes, we have the fires. We also have tornadoes. We also have hurricanes. We also have snow. But when the wind gets involved in it, and the wind is kicking up at high speeds, that is when the problem increases even more so. I don't know, have you ever been in a blizzard?
Yeah.
And how scary that is.
Yeah.
You know, as long as it's snowing, everything is fine. But once that wind gets involved, you just don't know which way you're going. So there is just a lot of questions about this particular fire, how it got started. Someone did get arrested, a woman, 60 years old. She was taken into custody on suspicion of starting a fire and was booked on a felony charge of arson. There's also a possibility that the officials have traced the origin of the blaze in an area behind a house on Piedra Morado Drive, which overlooks a densely wooded arroyo. So there's all possibilities. Interesting enough, when I was reading this particular article, it says arson has not been determined as responsible for the widespread fires. But again, we were talking about human behavior. There's no saying that the start of the fire could have been truly natural. But the bigger these things get, the more people tend to act on there's some bad behaviors that emerge where people want to jump in and join in the event. So they may be starting fires along the way themselves. So that can't be discounted. Anything else about what do you guys think about how the fire started? Any other rumors you might have heard?
I mean, we're still so close to the new year. And so could the fire have started as a result of New Year's celebration? Could it have started small and been unnoticeable and then grown over time? You know what I mean? And so that's also a question, you know what I mean? And so to think that it started naturally, what would have been that trigger? Because they haven't had any storms. It couldn't have possibly have been triggered by lightning. You know what I mean? So those are the questions that I have. And so, yeah, I think there is what they call an anthropogenic element to it.
Well, you know, and before we sign off on this segment, there's a reason why cities like San Antonio have zones to set off firecrackers. And it really irritates me when people are in front of my house just setting off firecrackers. And I have really thought about just turning the water system on just to protect the house. You know, just spray it up because you just don't know. You just don't know. And so there's a lot to learn. There's a lot to continue to be learning. And with that, we're going to take a break, and we're going to start our next segment in a few minutes.